Hello, welcome back. Today I'm going to talk about 3 exercises, very different, for starting a book if you have no idea what that book is going to be. You might not be in that situation. You might have a very clear idea what you're going to write. But this is some starters which might work as a way of prompting you to think about what you really do want to write, even if you've started something and you're not sure about it. The first one, which I think is quite fun, is to write at least a page describing in great energetic detail exactly the book that you're not going to write. The book that you are absolutely never going to write. Try and make your description of it as sincere and as loving as if you were going to write it, but make it the kind of thing that you are absolutely unfitted for, and that is absolutely unfitted for you. As an exercise, this is based on one I do on dialogue, where if I have a class and I'm getting them to think about different kinds of dialogue, the first exercise I get them to do in pairs is to write the worst dialogue in the world ever. And they find that obviously much more easy and much more fun than if I'd asked them to write anything good. They don't have to represent themselves, they don't have to be themselves, they can parody, they can exaggerate, and what they write tends to be really much more energetic than if they'd had the pressure of trying to do something that was a true collaboration and represented what they really, really wanted to be as writers together. Second exercise. Go to a very large bookshop if you can find one, or a small one if you can't find a very large bookshop. Wander around it and find the exact place in that shop that a book that you would like to write would be. I'm basing this on something I did when I was halfway through my memoir, Wrestliana, and I went to Foyles Bookshop on Charing Cross Road in London, and I wandered round because I wasn't sure exactly what I was writing. I thought it might be a memoir, I thought it might be a sports book. Eventually I decided that what I was writing was a sports memoir by someone who had never really done sport at anything like a high level, and that it needed to survive and be placed in the bookshop under wrestling, and that someone who wasn't interested in me at all but was really interested in the history of wrestling could read that book and enjoy it. In that I was helped by some fairly brutal feedback from my editor, Sam Gallibegger. And the third exercise, and this is based on a recent trip I paid to the Design Museum in London to see the Wes Anderson Archives exhibition, which is amazing and full of wonderful things that have been made for his films, particularly the characters for Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox. Standing nose to nose with little pale Ash from Fantastic Mr. Fox was unforgettable. But that's not what this exercise is based on. It's based on Wes Anderson's notebooks, which you see in the first room you enter. And these are below glass, but what you can tell is he uses the same kind of notebook every time, large and small. They're national brand, narrow-ruled IE's paper, one subject notebooks. The covers are yellow. But the important thing is that he puts a title on the front, and it's not a worked out title, it's nowhere near a finished title. For example, Dog Movie. That turned into the Isle of Dogs, but Dog Movie was what he had at the start, plus, I assume, a notebook. And this is the exercise. Buy a cheap notebook, find one you've got lying around that someone gave you, write something on the cover that could represent a possible subject, not necessarily the title, but relationships novel or early memoir, something like that, and use that notebook as a place to go back to. Have it around, have it accessible, and try to add small things to it whenever you can. If you create a place for a book to happen, possibly that book will happen. So those are the 3 exercises I'm suggesting as ways of starting a book you don't know exists yet, even in your mind. First one, describe in loving detail the book you're definitely not going to write. Second one, go to a large bookshop and find the shelf your possible book would be on if you were to write it. And third, start a new, cheap, doesn't matter notebook with a working title on the cover, a title that could start something off if you're lucky. That's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. Please like, share and subscribe, and hope to see you soon.